A coalition of Bahamians disputing BPC's oil drilling insurance claim and BPC firing back at them. The opposition urging the government to respond quickly to the child abuse videos circulating on social media, and National Security Minister pushing for those who want their records expunged to send in their applications quickly. Good evening, everyone. I'm Tyler Simona with your JCN News for this Wednesday, January 20th. A coalition of over 150 Bahamians and international businesses and organizations called Our Islands, Our Future says it has discovered, despite claims by Bahamas Petroleum Company, that the BPC does not have the necessary insurance coverage in the event of an oil spill or disastrous accident. Our Islands, Our Future, in a statement on Monday, said BPC has repeatedly claimed they have insurance coverage from Lloyds of London to drill an exploratory well in Bahamian waters. But recent statements from Lloyds contradicts this, leaving BPC's insurance coverage in the event of a disaster in serious question. Kazarina McKinney-Lambert, Executive Director of Bahamas Reef Environment Educational Foundation, or BREEF, who was also a part of the coalition, told Love 97 News what they discovered when contacting Lloyds of London for confirmation of BPC insurance.
For many months, we have been asking questions about the level of insurance coverage for this risky venture of drilling for oil in our waters. And we really haven't been getting a satisfactory answer. So we were in touch with Lloyds in London, which was the insurance group that BPC said they were insured with. What we found was that Lloyds indicated that they are not covering this particular operation. And that is very concerning to us. Because there's risk to the Bahamas, particularly our tourism and fisheries, but also risk to our neighboring countries.
Mrs. McKinney-Lambert says the coalition wrote a second time to Lloyds of London, noting the seriousness of the issue, asking them if they had any further comments on the matter. She says on January 14th, Lloyds responded by saying they would not be making any further comments. The coalition is now asking BPC to clarify this point immediately and release a detailed outline of their agreement, including any insurance coverage in the event of a disaster.
It's very important to understand what the level of insurance coverage is, what the time frame is, and who the insurers are. We know, for example, that the Deepwater Horizon disaster in 2010, which of course was also an exploratory well, cost $65 billion and had tremendous damage to fisheries in the Gulf region and to tourism as far away as Florida again. So we really need to understand what this insurance coverage is.
The coalition says the glaring question now is what insurance coverage does BPC have for the drilling of Perseverance No. 1 well? That started in December 2020. The Bahamas Petroleum Company fires back at Our Islands, Our Future. With the details, we go to Argerino Sanders.
The Bahamas Petroleum Company is hitting back at the coalition called Our Islands, Our Future, who on Monday suggested that the oil company does not have the necessary insurance coverage for its exploratory well. The environmentalist said a recent statement by an executive of Lloyds of London suggests BPC was not insured with that company, as the oil company has repeatedly claimed, which leaves BPC's insurance coverage in serious question in the event of an accident or disaster. On Tuesday, BPC CEO Simon Potter accused the activist of making baseless allegations. He also accused them of having a complete lack of understanding over how business in the Bahamas and internationally is conducted.
No, I don't think you'd call it a dispute. The company has paid its license fees over the course of a number of years. We pay them in advance. And as the AG has said, we have made payments. We've offered to make further payments. And it's just a reconciliation that needs to occur.
So you are up to date with your payments? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we've been making payments in advance over the period, and there are various license periods against which you are obliged to pay your license fees. You pay them in advance. There are certain times when you don't pay them, and with the various different on-off aspects of the license. It's just that reconciliation that needs to occur, as the AG himself has said.
Potter explained that Lloyds executives would not possess details on every insurance contract underwritten by its international group of companies. He assured that BPC is in compliance with the strict legal insurance requirements for the exploratory well as stipulated by the government of the Bahamas. He said whilst details of BPC's specific contracts have been provided to the government, there exists normal business confidentiality provisions.
We're carrying out our licensed activity, and what that currently obliges us to do is to drill a well. So we've been looking at this technically for over 10 years. We've spent $120 million, close to $120 million in assessing that potential. And the reality is that the only way now that I can tell you that there's a commercial oil deposit there is to drill this well, which is what the licenses require of us. I can't really comment on what individual ministers think about that, but that's the agreement, that's the contract that the company has with the government.
Roberta Quant, BPC's environmental scientist, recently stated that insurance coverage for the Perseverance 1 well will fully cover any tourism or fisheries losses in the event of any unlikely spill or environmental impact. Jarino Saunders for JCN News.
Shadow Minister of Social Services Glenys Hannah Martin describing the recent video circulating on social media of children being beaten in a form of discipline as horrific. In an exclusive interview with JCN News reporters, Ms. Hannah Martin says it is totally unacceptable that children under the watch of the state are subject to such aberrant and cruel treatment and urges Social Services Minister Frankie Campbell to act urgently.
I think that it is not something that the minister can take as business as usual. It requires absolutely urgent intervention because you're talking about the protection of children. And I'm of the view that anyone in that room or in any way associated either by omission or by default in their duties associated with what we saw should be immediately removed from any sort of proximity to those children while an investigation is carried out.
Ms. Hannah Martin contends that the nature of the video raises sufficient questions and it requires both the minister and the government to go and review all of the protocols, training and vetting of persons working with these children.
The sad thing about what we saw is that these are children that have either been that are parentless, have been abandoned, who already come into these situations or have been removed for care circumstances. They already come into these facilities in a wounded fashion, and to be subject to such shocking and atrocious treatment that I saw in those videos is beyond shameful. It is heart-wrenching, and it is extremely serious. And the minister must move immediately to ensure the protection of these children in these circumstances.
When asked if she thinks this is an isolated incident, Ms. Hannah Martin had this to say.
I don't know for sure. I think that the orgy of violence that I saw in that video, and it so looked, it's just outside of the realm of my understanding that what was happening there. I think that I don't know if it's the norm, or whether it's not the norm, but I know that it raises sufficient concern and fear that there is a potential for continuing risk.
Yesterday, Minister Campbell told reporters that an investigation has been launched and that no stone will be left unturned, and says if someone is culpable, the chips will fall where they may. National security officials are seeing a surge in applications from persons with criminal records who are seeking to have their records expunged, as the prerogative of mercy is set to meet at the end of this month. This coming from Minister of National Security, Marvin Dames.
Yesterday, I met with Chairman Farquharson, and he is the chairperson of the Rehabilitation of Offenders Committee. And that is the committee responsible for making recommendation to the minister on persons who actually have a police record and who have reintegrated into society and now are looking for that record to be expunged.
Now, Minister Dame notes that the committee has seen some 30 requests for expungement of records. The minister adds that the legislation is expected to be debated in the lower chambers of Parliament for a parole system.
Because we're trying to move now towards tabling the parole bill and developing a system of parole that will enable more persons to be given an opportunity to be rehabilitated and reintegrated.
He adds that he has committee reviewing the bill now. You're watching JCN News. When we return, Joe Biden is officially the 46th president of the United States, the national COVID numbers, and an alleged rapist faces the courts. Stay with us.